Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and if you are brand new here, welcome. I'm Bonnie, Old Soul Mermaid, and today we're going to be looking at my top 5 2020 mass market release tarot decks. So these are tarot decks that have been released this year, and they're my top 5. And I also, stay tuned to the end because I also have another Outlier. It's not the whole deck though, so stay tuned for that. So the first one on the list is the True Heart Intuitive Tarot by Rachel True, the actress, well known for her work on The Craft. And I did an unboxing of this deck, and if you watch that unboxing, you know, I think I said something to the effect, I didn't know if it was a deck that was going to stay in my collection. One thing I wasn't happy about was the box. And you know how I feel lately, it seems that mass market tarot publishers are putting more emphasis on, you know, boxes and big books as opposed to the cards and the cardstock, which is a pet peeve of mine. And I felt that's what happened with this deck. Now, it's not a Llewellyn publication. It is Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, hmhbooks.com. So they're not, this may be their first experiment into publishing a tarot deck. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, it's growing on me. It is growing on me. I'm working with the book. I haven't really done a ton of reading with these cards, but working with the book, and there's those fantastic backs. Really flimsy cardstock, which is one thing that it just, when I first touched these cards, I was just like, what a disappointment. Because the images are beautiful. I don't have a problem with the images at all. The backs are gorgeous. But this cardstock is really flimsy, along the lines of the original Antique Anatomy before they upgraded their cardstock. Maybe not quite as bad, but really, really close to that. So these images I find quite beautiful. I think I made a parallel to if the Modern Witch and the Star Spinner Tarot had a baby, you'd get these images. I think they're really, really wonderful. And it's an RWS deck, but you know, it follows that system, but it kind of goes its own way in some places. I love her beautiful turned out first position here. As a former dancer, I notice these things. But I had no problems with the images for the most part. Cardstock, yes. And see, the 7 of Discs, it goes its own way a little bit. And I find the images intriguing. And how the quartz, you know, they all seem to be coming through a portal. And during my unboxing, yes, it was like, yes, I found this, you know, the image is really nice and intriguing. But it's the book, I think, where this deck really, really shines. And that's why it's ending up in this position, number 5 of my top 5 mass market tarot decks released in 2020. Again, you know, it's not diverse as, you know, in terms of age. You don't see a lot of diversity. You do see some in race. But the more I'm working with the book, I am really jiving with this deck. Though I'm intrigued. I'm having a hard time putting it into words. It's not a deck that I instantly fell in love with. Like most of, if I post my other two videos first, you'll see that some decks I have really bonded with right off the bat, and this is not one of them. That being said, I do think this has a place in my collection, and I don't think it's going to leave because I am having fun working with it. Working with it before I actually deep dive, before I actually read and do spreads and use it on other people. I'm playing with it, and I'm liking what I'm experiencing with it. Despite the subpar cardstock, it is a very wonderful deck, and the book is where it shines. I love how she puts her spin on things, her own perspective, her own experiences. You do get a card, a depiction of the card. It's not colored, but you do get a depiction of the card, so you can take this in bed with you and not have to bring the cards with you. But with this deck, I found that I did, because I want the color, the experience of the color with me. So I have a mess when I'm looking at this in bed with the cards, and I've fallen asleep reading this deck with the cards, and my husband has to clean up my mess around me. I love the spreads in here. I've just been, kind of playing with it half-heartedly, nothing too seriously, but I think this is it's in the number 5 position because I think it does have a place in my collection, and it's intriguing me. It's kind of goading me, because at first in my unboxing, I said, I don't know about this deck. I don't think it has a place in my collection. I don't know if it's going to stay with me. So it's been goading me. It's been sending its vibes out to me and saying, I dare you not to love me. Work with me, calling me to work with it. And I have, and I'm liking what I'm experiencing with the deck. So this is the True Heart Intuitive Tarot by Rachel True. Next on the list, in the number 4 position, is the Wizard's Tarot by Barbara Moore, with art by Mikey Jensens. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but this showed up, of course, in my video with my Llewellyn decks, and I've done a full unboxing of this deck. This deck was one of my most used decks, and the beautiful book with the full color pictures. But this deck has been one of my most used mass market decks for 2020. And it's in order right now because I put it in another video. And I put my decks in order as a part of cleansing it when I've worked with it a lot. After I've read with for other people with a certain deck. I have done a reading, 2 or 3 other readings with this deck for other people, and they resonated with this deck as well. It's not the kind of deck and artwork that I normally gravitate towards. It kind of, I put it in that category of, fantasy art, Ciro Marchetti type, and those decks, I had a Ciro deck, and the Gilded, is it the Gilded Tarot? Didn't bond with it, got rid of it. But this one, for some reason, I have bonded with. I think it is the Suit of Swords I love. It takes its own spin a little bit. It's not a diverse deck at all. But you kind of give it a pass because fantasy art, yeah. Body beautiful. It kind of is what it is. but I think it is very, very well done. And I was pleasantly surprised. I love the images, the creativity. And see, the swords. I love the suit of swords. Oh, I thought this was in order, but I guess it's not. I've enjoyed working with this deck, and when I love this Seven of Swords. And look what he's taking off with, books. This Nine of Swords, the levitation. And I love this Five of Swords as well. The suit of swords in this deck stands out to me. I do love the emotion in this Five of Cups. So yes, if you've been with me for a while and you've seen the decks that I love, this type of art is not usually in my wheelhouse. But I love this deck, and that's why it's in the number 4 position of my top releases, mass market tarot decks for 2020. And this is The Wizard's Tarot by Barbara Moore and Mikey Janssens. In the number 3 position, we have the Cosmic Slumber Tarot by Tilly Walden. This is a Liminal 11 deck, and it's beautiful. I have a full unboxing of this deck on my channel. This is a little bit, I thought it was going to be kind of the same packaging as the Modern Witch. Liminal 11 has put out the Modern Witch, but it's not. They've kind of upgraded it, and I'm so happy they did with the magnetic closure at the bottom. This is one of my newer acquisitions, but it's quickly become one of my favorites, and I've been using it to help with dream interpretation. And there's the backs. I do have a full unboxing on my channel of this deck. Glossy cardstock. It's a thick deck to shuffle, but this is like a psychedelic pajama party to me. And that's why I've been using it with my dream journal and in trying to interpret using it to help interpret dreams. And it is, I gotta tell you, I didn't know really what I thought of this deck when I got it. It was intriguing to me, but, oh, sorry, that's my dog, Simon. This deck ticks all the boxes, and I can even say that you can use this deck, even though it's brightly colored, whimsical images, for shadow work. I love this devil. I love this devil, and I apologize, my dog has chose right now to bark. It goes its own way in some of the depictions, and look at, she's opening a portal, which that kind of thing I totally dig. The images borderline on simplistic. It's the color, though, integrated in the art. The figures are, you know, just very simple line drawings, but you get the complexities with the color. And the color, with the color, it tells a story, which I think is wonderful. It's a psychedelic, groovy deck. And I've been very pleased with the readings that I'm getting with this. I know it might not be in everybody's wheelhouse, but I'm surprised that it is in mine. Quite frankly, I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm very, very happy I have this deck in my collection. I can't wait for the upcoming releases. Is it the Newman Tarot, the release date has been put off to February here in the States, I believe. I was supposed to get it like a couple of months ago, and a lot of upcoming pre-orders have been pushed back. I love this Two of Cups. So that is the Cosmic Slumber Tarot by Tilly Walden in the number 3 position. In the number 2 position is the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sturl. Now, in the booklet, it says that it's 2019 released, but I think that's because it was released overseas before it was released in the US. I believe this was not available in the US until 2020. So, and I got it in 2020, not long after it was released. And, you know, I look at Amazon fairly frequently, and I'm pretty sure this came out in the States in 2020. So that's why it's here. But this deck has been heavily used. I recently got the journal, which I am very excited to work with this year, with the deck. And there are the backs. This is, you all know this deck. But if you're new to tarot and new to my channel, and I know there have been some newbies, this is for you, a quick flip through. I do have a full walkthrough. I think it's mostly, actually, I'm lying. It may be a side-by-side comparison. Yes, I have a side-by-side comparison with this deck and the This Might Hurt Tarot. So, yeah, kind of like if you have this deck, do you need this deck? So look for that on my channel. Maybe I will put that in the description box if I remember. This deck ticks most of the boxes for diversity. Again, as it, colorful art, wonderful colorful art, and look at the fashion in here. Wonderful modern day depicted figures. Great on a race diversity, different body types. Again, I don't see, you know, age, and which is the thing with a lot of modern day decks. I don't see that. But it's not going to stop me from buying a deck, because then I wouldn't have any decks. Let's be honest. Wonderful, wonderful reader. I have not had a problem with doing, I'm trying to think of all the readings I've done. Any type of reading. I use this for myself, and I use this for other people. And it's a favorite in the tarot community, and there's a reason for that. It's well-deserved. Powerful images. It's an empowering deck, I find. It's kind of like the deck you want to pull out when, yes, I'm ready to go for something. It's, if I had to say, I would say this embodies more the element of wands and fire. This is very much a fire deck to me. One of those decks that you would want to pull out for a career, for career questions, for where are you going type questions, for creativity, project questions. I think this deck is fantastic for that. Also for relationship readings as well. But this deck, to me, and let me know in the description box what you think this deck is, the energy. Do you think it's more cups energy? Do you think it's more swords energy? I find it to be very fire to me. And that's what I get when I read with it. And this Everything is Fine card is just everything. All right, so that is the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sturl, and it's a Liminal 11 production. So here we are to the #1 position, the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshi Yoshitani. I also have the extra companion book for this. Again, I apologize for my dog. This deck has to be the best value for a tarot deck out there. I think I got this for $12 or $13 with the pre-order. It was insane. But I will say this publisher, Clarkson Potter Publishers, they have other decks like the Literary Witches, the Jane Austen Tarot. There may be one other. They're all very, very inexpensive. This is a wonderful linen cardstock, which also those other decks that I mentioned, and those are the backs, have as well. And I love linen cardstock. I know I've seen some criticisms that people think that the linen interrupts the artwork. I don't think so at all. I think it adds to it. Now, you don't need it, but I'm glad I got the extra guidebook to read with this deck, because a lot of these fairy tales that are depicted in this deck to tell a story, I'm not familiar with. There's Aladdin. I'm familiar with that. But most of them I am not. And I mentioned this in my unboxing video because of what we get in grade school, especially with my generation. I'm a Gen Xer. And mostly the fairy tales I grew up with were Grimm's and Anderson fairy tales, and maybe some Aesop fables. And that's what I grew up with. So a lot of these tales are unfamiliar to me. So the book is very inexpensive, and I think it just adds another layer to the meaning of the card once you know the story behind it. Now the book itself, each fairy tale, each card gets one page. So you get the feeling that there's more to the story, but it does give you an overview. So you can get more with reading with these cards. This deck I've used for all types of readings. And truth be told, I haven't read for anybody else with this deck. I find that I just read for myself. I don't know if I'm going to keep it that way. The opportunity really hasn't arisen to use this deck for other people. And I don't know if that's because maybe this deck is just meant for readings for myself. But I love, love, love this deck. And it will have to fit in the category for best value for a tarot deck also for 2020. The card quality is like indie quality. Borderline indie quality with the box, the beautiful box. It's got a beautiful book. And if you are new to tarot, I would say you'd have to have a pretty good background with the RWS. And I would highly recommend in that case also to get the guidebook, Beneath the Moon. But fantastic deck. Gorgeous, gorgeous illustrations. That's why it is in the #1 position for my top mass market tarot deck release in 2020. For the value and just the beauty of this deck and how it reads. So here is my Outlier. It is the Elemental Power Tarot by Linda Melinda Lee Holm. Now this deck showed up, I did do an unboxing of it, but it recently showed up in decks that are leaving my collection. Well, most of those decks did leave my collection, but this deck did not. I was at the bookstore getting ready to sell my decks at my local half-price books, and I promptly pulled it out. I said, no, I can't let this one go. And the reason why I can't let this one go is because of these majors. These majors I find so haunting. Even though the cardstock has a lot to be desired, I do like the backs. I find, for some reason, these majors to be haunting and beautiful. There's no people in them, but you can get all that you need to get from the symbology and the meaning of the card with the art. I don't have the Spacious Tarot, that indie deck that does this sort of thing, mostly with nature, no people. But I'm thinking maybe, I don't even know if that deck is still available. I'm thinking maybe I need to get it. I find these majors haunting. And I love them. I love these majors. So and the rest of it's a pip deck. It is absolutely a pip deck, and it's not the worst pip deck, but you know, with a deck this gorgeous, I just wanted more of this. I wanted more of this art. Beautiful. I think it's beautiful. And just to let you see, well, we're almost done with the majors here, so I'll just finish. Look at this Judgment card. I kept it because I said, you know, I could use, even if I just use the majors, it's worth it. The deck was not expensive. Bring it up a little bit. It's not an expensive deck at all. But if you can see, you know, the aces are quite nice. But then the rest of it is just, you know, uninspired pips. So this is my Outlier deck. I love the majors so much that I could not bring myself to sell it. It's an inexpensive deck, mass market deck. I'm going to find a way to use these majors. I love them that much. So this is my Outlier, the Elemental Power Tarot. So that concludes my top 5 mass market tarot releases for 2020. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you have any of these decks? Are any of these decks on your wish list? And what do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Were there any of these that I loved? Well, obviously I love all of them, but that you have or had and just could not bond with? Let me know in the description box. And with that, I will leave you and know that I'll be back really soon with another video. Thank you for spending your time with me, and bye for now.